Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Min, and today I want to share with you guys 5 steps you can take to start building your credit. Let's first talk about why you actually need credit. So at some point in your life, you're going to need to leverage credit to either buy a house or maybe buy a car, and you're going to need to take out a loan to actually buy these things. And in order to do that, banks need to know that you're actually going to pay them back. So let's say you took out a loan and buy a $30,000 car. The bank's going to want to know that you can actually pay that money back to them. Your credit score is used to determine how likely you are to pay back money that was lent to you. Now you may be telling yourself, Grandma always told me to buy things with cash. Well, that was good advice in the 50s, not so much today. Also, think about your credit score as some kind of like profiling tool. Your credit score is actually used for more than just getting a loan for your house or your car. It's actually used by employers these days. They will actually run a credit report on all prospective employees to make sure that they're actually responsible. Landlords are also using credit reports now to make sure that prospective tenants can actually pay their rent if they were to move in. They want to make sure that tenants don't have a ton of outstanding debt, making it hard for them to pay their rent. So you can see having a great credit score is important even if you think you don't need it. So I wanted to show you how you can start building your credit score today even if you don't have a credit card. It might require you to shift the way you're buying things, but it shouldn't cost you any money out of pocket. So let's get into those 5 steps now. So the first step is to go and get a credit card. Now given that you don't have a lot of credit history, it's going to be very difficult for you to get a credit card. Now believe it or not, if you actually have a utility bill or a cell phone bill, you actually have some credit history already. So this might actually qualify you to get a credit card. So go find your favorite credit card and try applying for it and see if you get approved. Now if that doesn't work, your next best bet is to go find a low limit credit card. These credit cards are designed for new people like yourself who don't have any credit or for people who have bad credit. If you're interested in some of those low limit credit cards, I have a link in the description that you can check out. Now given this is your first credit card, make sure that you find a credit card that has no annual fees. This means that this card is completely free and it doesn't charge you a single dime for having it. And also, you don't want the headache of having to manage an annual fee or even potentially paying an annual fee. It may end up costing you, and you want to just avoid that altogether for this first card. This will be important later. Now, if for some reason you still can't get a credit card, even though you tried some of those low limit cards, there is another option. You actually can use your own money and get a secured credit card. And what this means is you'll actually go to the bank, you'll give them like $500, and they'll give you what's called a secured credit card. This is a credit card that has your initial deposit backing it, and so it'll act just like a credit card, but you have to give this money to the bank. And so let's say you put a deposit of $500, most likely the credit card they're going to give you is going to have a $500 limit. This means that the bank will have zero risk in the event that you don't pay them, but you get the benefit of building your credit history. Now keep in mind, you will be charged an interest and it will act like a regular credit card, so this is by no means a debit card. Just make sure you're aware of that. Now that you have your first credit card, the next thing to do is to retire your debit card and stop using cash to buy things. Start putting things like gas, food, bills, eating out, hanging out with your friends. Anything that you used to pay with your debit card needs to now go on your credit card. Many places take credit cards and don't charge a fee, so this is a good opportunity for you to load some of those charges onto your new credit card. And then once that billing cycle closes at the end of the month, make sure you use that cash that you haven't been using to pay off the credit card in full. Now the beauty of this is you've just shown credit card companies you have the ability to pay them back at the end of each month. This is very important and will help build your credit. To automate this, you can even use services with the credit card company that will allow you to auto pay your bill in full at the end of each month. This way you don't even have to think about it. Now if you're low on funds, you may be worried about overdraft, and if you're worried about that, I suggest you create a budget and track your expenses. If you don't already have a budget, you can check out my other video here and you can start building your first budget using mint.com. This will help you track all of your expenses and also ensure that you don't overspend in any of the categories. One thing to note here is that you actually pay off the balance in full. You don't want to carry a balance, because if you carry a balance, that means you're going to pay interest to the credit card company. Now you may be thinking in order to improve your credit score, you actually have to pay interest or have to carry a balance. That is completely false. The only thing the credit card companies care about is the fact that you can pay them back. So that means that even if you pay your credit card in full and pay the credit card company zero interest, you will still have an awesome credit score. You can trust me on this. I've been doing this for 14 years and I've never paid a single dime in interest to any credit card company. I set up all my credit cards through Autopay. I always have a zero balance at the end of the billing cycle, and I have an 823 credit score. And one other thing I want to mention is if you don't want to transfer all of your expenses to your credit card, maybe you don't trust yourself yet, maybe just do 1 or 2 bills or maybe 3 bills max, or maybe just do gas only. That way you kind of get a feel for it. Let's say you have a $500 limit credit card, maybe just put $200 on there to start. As you get more comfortable, you can start putting more things on there. At some point, you're gonna get really close to that max $500 that your credit card company is actually gonna raise your credit limit. Now that credit increase doesn't mean that you need to go and spend more money. Don't even think about going on that vacation or buying that new purse or buying those new pairs of shoes. This is really more just a buffer so that way you don't hit the max and your credit card gets declined. The last thing the credit card companies want is for you to have a bad experience with your credit card. Now that credit limit increase can be dangerous because it might entice you to go and buy things you can't afford, and then at the end of the month you can't pay the bill, which means you're gonna have to pay interest to the credit card company. Just make sure you don't put anything on this credit card unless you can pay it off in full at the end of the month. The next step is actually an easy step. If you've already done the first month, just rinse and repeat this for 6 to 9 months. You'll slowly start to build some credit history and actually show that you're responsible and you can actually pay back your debt each month. You'll also start to see your credit scores start to increase as well as time goes on. Remember that this isn't costing you anything, you're just shifting your spending a little bit. Instead of buying things on the debit card and automatically taking money out, you're buying things on your credit card, waiting till the end of the month, and then just paying it off in full with that money that you have in your debit account. The next step is actually an optional step, and by this point you actually have decent credit already. And if you've gone this far, then it might be time to actually start looking for decent credit cards. That first credit card you got is probably not needed anymore, but don't cancel it just yet. You still actually need to keep it around. But now you can actually go and shop around for credit cards. Again, I suggest you look for no annual fee credit cards because those are gonna give you the least amount of headaches. Now the reason why you wanna look for new credit cards is because that initial credit card you have didn't really give you any perks. It only allowed you to build your credit history. Now you can actually go and find credit cards that will give you free sign-up bonuses. Some credit cards will give you free money for signing up, some will give you airline miles, some will give you free hotel stays, some will give you reward points. The list goes on and on and on. Now for this second credit card, I would actually suggest that you pick something that is a good all-arounder. I have another video that talks about all the credit cards that I carry around in my wallet every day. These are cards that have no annual fees and they have excellent rewards. Some of them give you 5% cash back in certain categories. Some of them give you 2% cash back on everything you spend. So you can check out that video if you're interested. But remember, let's not get too crazy. Let's start with 1 or maybe 2 credit cards max. And what you want to do is once you get this credit card, you want to stop using the other credit card and start transferring everything to these new cards. And that's why I suggest maybe just 1 or 2 because things can get really confusing when you have like 5 credit cards. You can add more to your collection as time goes on and you get a little bit more experience with credit cards. And you also don't want to sign up for too many credit cards because if you have too many inquiries on your credit report, your credit score will actually go down. And credit card companies will actually deny you if you try to sign up for, let's say, 5 credit cards all in 1 week. And so remember when I told you that you want to get a credit card with no annual fee? So that first credit card, you don't want to close it. You want to leave it idle, put it on the side, put it in your drawer. I have a whole drawer full of credit cards right here that I don't use anymore. And the reason for that is because I just got the free sign-up bonus or whatever I got for signing up, and then now they're just sitting there. Now the credit card company might call and say, hey, you need to use your card or we're gonna cancel it. You can just charge something small on there, pay it off, and then put it back in the shelf. They're not gonna bother you again. Now you don't wanna close that card because remember how I told you the longer you have your credit history, the better. So if you close that card, you just lost that 6 to 9 months of credit history that you had with that card. So you're gonna wanna keep that card for as long as possible until you can build up the credit history for these new credit cards that you just got. And remember how I told you I've been doing this for 14 years? My oldest credit card is actually 14 years old. It's actually the Chase Freedom Unlimited category card. Prior it was actually called the Chase Rewards. I got it way back in 2007, I believe, and I still have it today. And luckily for me, that actually is a really good credit card, and so I still have it in my wallet. And the last step is to actually maintain this credit score long term. You want to make sure that you pay each credit card off every single month and you don't miss a payment by accident. That's why I mentioned earlier that you should have Autopay set up for every credit card you have, so that way you don't accidentally forget to pay a credit card. And each year you're actually entitled to get a free credit report, and what this does is it actually lists out all of your credit cards and all of your loans that you have, and it'll actually tell you if any of them are in default or collections. You want to make sure that this report is accurate and everything in there is correct. You want to make sure that nobody's opening credit cards in your name, the balances in the credit report make sense and are aligned with what you think they should be. You can also check your credit card for free using a service called creditkarma.com. I'll leave links for these in the description below so you guys can check it out. So as you guys can see, this is pretty simple. There's nothing really complicated about this. It's very simple and common sense. Just buy things you can afford and pay off your credit cards each month. The entire process can even be automated if you set up Autopay. This is the easiest way to build your credit from scratch. And before you know it, you're gonna need credit to buy a car or buy a house, and now you're gonna be set up to get the best interest rate possible. That means more money in your pocket and less money to the banks. Now all of that sounds really easy and common sense and everybody should have perfect credit score, but the reality is a lot of people don't. There will be temptations and you will make mistakes along the way. The reason why credit card companies give free sign-up bonuses and free hotel stays and all that is because they know people will make mistakes. They will have temptations. They will want that new TV. They will want to go to Disneyland. They will have that emergency car repair. There is a whole plethora of things that can happen along the way that the American people are usually not prepared for. And to avoid a lot of these, make sure that you have an emergency fund. If you have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund, you should never have to use your credit card for an emergency. This is how credit card companies win, and they know that people, when they have an emergency, they will put it on their credit card. Because at the end of the day, somebody needs to eat, the heat needs to stay on, and that is much better than telling people you have no money to pay the utility bill. And that's exactly how they start digging themselves into this huge debt hole that takes them years and years to dig themselves out of. So make sure you avoid that mistake by having an emergency fund. Only buy things that you can afford to pay off at the end of each month. Resist temptation and don't buy things you don't need. And stick to that budget that you created earlier. Well guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like button. It helps my channel out a lot. And if you guys like my channel, please consider subscribing. I have a lot more videos on personal finance, how to save money, how to get out of debt. So make sure you check out my channel for some of those videos. Alright you guys, hopefully that video was helpful. If it was, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with one of your friends. And if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you're aware when new videos are uploaded. And as always, have a nice day.